Welcome back, degenerates, to Place Your Bets. I'm Tyler James, well rested from the bye week and needing a haircut. He's the one and only Eric Hansen. We cover Notre Dame football, recruiting, and more for InsideNDSports.com on the Rivals Network. And we like to make prop bets about Notre Dame football. Our USC prop bets from before the bye proved to be a little bit difficult, as we only had three people get three of them correct. That was Irish is 2581, and we are ND. I personally only got two right. Eric, what kind of adjustments did you make during the bye week after only getting one right in the USC game?
I ate a cheeseburger.
The season standings remain similar but tight. Scott Clarsey is on top, one ahead
Of course he is.
of Kurt V I-95 and JBM 19. So they're on his tail, but Scott keeps holding the catbird seat there. Eric and I are 2 spots back as well. As a reminder,
I say if Scott has the lead going into the bowl game, he should be on the show.
all right, we'll see if we can arrange that. As a reminder, if you're an InsideNDSports.com subscriber, make sure you submit your predictions to the Google form link on the Insider Lounge. Now let's make our prop bets and predictions for Notre Dame Pittsburgh. First one, Eric, I have for us is over under 325.5 offensive yards for Notre Dame.
So Notre Dame is coming off of a Marcus Freeman era low of 251 against USC. Pittsburgh doesn't give up a lot of yards. They're 26th in the country in total defense now. Some of that is skewed by having played Wofford in their opener, and I think they gave up 126 in that game. But they haven't, nobody's gotten to like 500 on them. But I'm going over because Wake Forest, with their third-string quarterback just last week, got 323. And I think with Wake Forest's old quarterback, I think they can get to 326 or better.
Yeah, I came up with a number because Notre Dame's averaging 320.25 in its last 4 games, which is certainly considerably lower than the 414 yards Notre Dame has averaged for the season. But I'm in agreement. I think Notre Dame will be able to go over here. And if not, that would be not a great sign for the Irish coming off the bye week. All right, next one. Will Notre Dame score more rushing touchdowns or passing touchdowns?
Pitt gives them up about the same amount. It's pretty close. As far as Notre Dame on the season, they have a lot more passing touchdowns than rushing touchdowns. The way Pitt plays defense, they invest a lot more in stopping the run. I know Notre Dame's pass offense is what's under the microscope this week. I'm going to give them credit that they're going to make progress, so I'm going to go with passing touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree. I just going into it before I did the research, I wouldn't have guessed that Notre Dame had more passing touchdowns than rushing touchdowns. I hadn't really gave it much thought. So I was a little bit surprised to see that it was 20-14 in favor of passing touchdowns, which I think probably makes sense if you think back to early in the season compared to as of late. But I think Notre Dame's passing game will look better this week. We'll take advantage of some of those shots, and I think we'll also be sort of aggressive in trying to make sure that it takes those shots. So I'm going with passing touchdowns as well. All right, next one. Over under 7.5 Notre Dame wide receiver catches.
This is less predictive and more they better. So I'm going over on that. That doesn't seem like a very, very big ask to get to 8 from your wide receivers against the 95th ranked pass efficiency defense. So I'm going to go over.
And yet Notre Dame has only done so twice in its last 4 games. They've had games with 5 wide receiver catches and 4 wide receiver catches. But yeah, I agree. Sort of like what I was saying, that I just think that Notre Dame is going to prioritize getting the ball to its wide receivers and trying to take some shots and opening up Pittsburgh's defense a little bit. So I'm going to take the over, maybe against my better judgment. All right, next one. More rushing yards. Pittsburgh running back C'Bo Flemister or Notre Dame running back Jeremiyah Love?
It's funny that Pitt has more members of the 2018 Notre Dame recruiting class on its team with 3 than Notre Dame has with just one in DJ Brown.
Yeah.
And C'Bo is one of those guys. He's been the starter the last couple games. Hammond was the starter early. You kind of have to reconfigure with Kristen Veer as the quarterback versus Phil Jakovic. C'Bo went over 100 yards against Wake Forest. And yet, when I think about how Al Golden is going to try to defend Pitt, I think he's going to try to stop C'Bo Flemister, make them one-dimensional, and then make Christian Veer have to win the game. So I'm going to actually give it to Love. Even though Pitt doesn't give up a lot of explosives in the run game, I just think Love is going to get enough opportunities to beat out C'Bo.
Yeah, I'm going to go with C'Bo Flemister. The opportunities obviously will be there. I don't know that he's going to get close to his 100-yard mark, but I do think that he'll have enough opportunities to be able to outgain Jeremiyah Love. I expect it to be close, which is why I made this prop bet to begin with and created it. But I think I see Flemister coming out slightly on top over Love, having some fewer opportunities, but probably having some good games as well. All right, over under 16.5 first downs for Pitt.
Yeah, they've been kind of all over the place. They've had some really low totals, and I think they've had as many as 30 maybe in a game. Al Golden's defense gives up first downs. I think what they're good at is keeping you off the scoreboard, and I'm going to go over on that. That may be kind of counterintuitive, but I think they'll go over. They had 20 last week,
right,
and only scored 17 points. So
I'm going to go under. I know it's sort of a weird prop bet. I don't think we talk about first downs very much, but
yeah, I thought it was a weird prop bet too.
But what stood out to me is that like Pittsburgh averages just over 17 a game, and Notre Dame has allowed just under 17 a game. So the numbers seem so close for the season for both of them. I was like, well, why don't we make a prop bet out of that one? So I'm going to go under. I think Notre Dame's going to be able to limit Pittsburgh's possessions and yardage. So I think even maybe getting some turnovers in there. So I think Pittsburgh will get less than 17. So under 16.5 first downs in the game.
Are you saying first downs are a proprietary thing for Pittsburgh? What was that thing that Phil Jakovic said?
Yeah, cultural appropriation.
Cultural appropriation. Yeah, I couldn't remember what it was, what the phrasing was. A cultural appropriation, first downs.
Yeah, well, that if Notre Dame, if someone in South Bend served French fries on a sandwich, maybe that would be cultural appropriation of Pittsburgh. All right, our fun one. Will Pittsburgh head coach Pat Narduzzi yell at the officials in the first 10 minutes of the game?
Fish in a barrel, Tyler. It'll be in the first 10 seconds.
Yeah, it might be just like running out of the tunnel, right? Just on his way to the sideline, just start complaining about something. I think it's an absolute guarantee. I know this one we don't do for fun and keeping the standings, but I feel pretty confident that he's going to be upset about something in Notre Dame Stadium, because that seems to be his general disposition anytime he's in the same stadium or Notre Dame is even mentioned, seemingly. All right, final score predictions for Notre Dame Pitt. What do you got, Eric?
I made one earlier in the week, and I had a little bit of buyer's remorse that I didn't give Pitt more points, but I'm going to stick with it. I'm going Notre Dame 31 and Pitt 10.
All right, I have the same score for Pitt. I have Notre Dame getting another touchdown there, so I have 38-10 in favor of Notre Dame. So we'll see. I mean, I feel a little bit nervous predicting Notre Dame to cover the spread with the way its offense has been as of late, but I do think Notre Dame getting some of its receivers back healthy and the time off will allow it to come up with a better game plan offensively and execute at a high level against the Panthers. All right, that'll do it for Place Your Bets. If you're an InsideNDSports.com subscriber, don't forget to submit your predictions through the link on the Insider Lounge, as I mentioned earlier. If you're not a subscriber to the site, we encourage you to take advantage of our 30-day free trial of premium access to InsideNDSports.com. You can do that with the code NDYT. We've included a link in the video description below to help you sign up. And for all of you, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to us over here on our YouTube channel, share with us your predictions for the game. And we will be back on Saturday night, not into the wee hours of Sunday morning like we have after all those night games. We'll be back Saturday night after the game for our post-game takeaways. And may the odds be ever in your favor.